Do you want to nail your mock draft? Do you want to be the one at the party, or when you're sitting there at the draft going, I knew it. I knew Brian Gutekunst was going to pick him. Then the key to the correct answer may very well be looking ahead to the 2024 Green Bay Packers. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Lombardi Time Brews. I am your host, John Delray. Yes, on this glorious Friday following a freaking blizzard, I'm going to talk about a number of different Packer topics. So thanks so much for joining me here on Lombardi Time Brews as we inch closer and closer to a new subscriber goal. The main topic of today is looking ahead. We're going to see who's under contract, who's on the roster officially in 2024. Why? Because that's going to help inform the 2023 draft. We know that Brian Gutekunst doesn't just draft for this year. He drafts for the future. So in order to get a little bit more accurate and to a feel as to what Brian Gutekunst might do this year, you can look at RAS scores, you can look at historical tendencies, but one thing you can certainly look at is who's on the roster beyond just the season that starts 6 months from now. How about 18 months from now? So we're going to dive into that. I'm going to talk about who is officially on the roster in 2024, who's under contract as of right now, so we can start planning ahead for that draft. Also featured at the end of this episode, I'm actually going to talk about these little guys up here. Yes, listener K. Riley dropped a comment on my last video asking, where did I get those? What's the deal with those? And so I decided I wanted to pull them down and talk about them a little bit. So at the end of this video, the last couple minutes, is me discussing the 1966 Green Bay Packers Dan Burry mint figurine, one of the coolest collectibles I have. I know for a lot of Packer collectors, it's one of the holy grails, one of the true like centerpieces of their collection. So I wanted to spend some time about it. 1966 Green Bay Packers Dan Burry mint. It was made several years ago. They have not been made since. It's something you have to buy on the secondary market now. And it ain't cheap. So I spent the last couple minutes of this video discussing that just a little bit. If you're interested, hang around. Also, coming next week, yes, next week I'm actually going to be doing the division series that I've been talking about for a while. Next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, each day is going to be a different team in the division where I discuss Bears, Lions, Vikings. For instance, the Bears, from the Packer perspective, what are the Bears going to do this offseason? They've got like $100 million in the first overall pick. What are they going to do? Or how about the resurgent Detroit Lions? Are they actually going to spend a first-round pick on a quarterback this year when they're on the cusp of contending so that they got their franchise player to eventually oust Jared Goff? Or how about the Minnesota Vikings, who have a lot of the same cap problems that the Green Bay Packers do? Are they going to cut Zadarius Smith just like the Packers did once upon a time? What field are they, or what roster are they going to field in 2023? They've got some tough decisions to make. So from the Packer perspective, I'm going to spend next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, talking all about that. Now, beyond that, I will say, if there happens to be any shocking breaking news from a certain Aaron Rodgers next week, then I'll do an emergency episode or I'll abridge that division schedule one way or another. I'm not just going to ignore the biggest Packer news we have and Aaron Rodgers. So plan on that. If that news happens to come next week, you can bank on me doing some kind of episode, an emergency episode, something. Basically, as soon as I hear news, digest it, and I'm able to get here to record something. So beyond that, on that topic, actually, I wanted to do just a really quick update, and I promised to not talk about this for more than a minute. So if you don't want to hear any of this, just skip ahead 1 minute. Don't leave the video. Just skip ahead 1 minute, because here we go. Aaron Rodgers update. Both Jeff Darlington and Tom Pelissero gave their take in interviews as of late that they believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back to the Green Bay Packers, that all of this is just overhyped, that he's just coming back, that this isn't complicated, that the Packers want him back, that he's coming back, etc. But beyond that, we still have Tom Silverstein saying that Brian Gutekunst is ready to move on. We've got supposedly like Packer employees being asked by the Draft Network, like, do you want Rodgers back? And they say, I don't care. I don't know if you saw that report or not, but that's out there too. You got McAfee saying that he believes that Aaron Rodgers is going to be saying gangrene, not green and gold. Who knows? You also have that funny YouTube video where the guy comes out of the darkness retreat. This is filmed like 9 months ago. Comes out of the darkness retreat and says that the colors that he misses most in the world are green and gold. So take it for what you will, but that's the minute, that's up. So we don't know anything about Aaron Rodgers. We're going to continue not to know anything about Aaron Rodgers. And especially if he's getting traded, we're not going to hear anything for a while. Aaron Rodgers is going to have to go to the Packers, meet with them. There's going to be several meetings about Aaron Rodgers' future as well as the entire future of the franchise. We're not going to hear about this that quick. So now that he's out of the darkness, don't just wait on bated breath. Okay, moving on. Let's dive in, right? 2024, who's on the roster? And again, I'm going to say this. I'm doing this not just to look ahead out of some just general quandary, but it's mock draft season. Everyone wants to know who the Packers are going to pick. Everyone wants to make their guesses, right? Well, part of what I like to think that I do is I help to supply the research that I go do or whatever to maybe hopefully better inform your opinions, hopefully, about what they're going to do so you can make up your mind. Well, the truth is, the mock drafts, Brian Gutekunst has shown a tendency to look ahead. I mean, look at Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary was picked when he had Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith. Or even last year at the same position, he picked Kingsley Enagbare when they had Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith. And Jonathan Garvin, who they've been hoping would turn into that outside linebacker number 3. So the Packers do have this tendency to pick ahead, to not just pick for this year. That's part of the draft and develop model that goes all the way back. So knowing who's on the roster in 2024 can enlighten us as to where are these voids in the roster. Where's nobody? There are a couple positions where there's quite literally nobody on the roster in 2024. So it's not just about 6 months from now if you're looking to decide things about the draft. It's about 18 months from now. And of course, a world of things can happen. But it still can be helpful in forming opinions to look that far ahead. So let's dive right in. I'm going to go position by position. And of course, these things can change. But I'm going to go position by position. And I'm going to say who is on the roster, has a contract, is officially on the roster for the 2024 Green Bay Packers as of right now. Quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Yes, his contract still runs through 2024. As well as quarterback, Jordan Love, if the Packers pick up his 5th round option. Now, from a cap perspective, of course, you assume that they are going to pick it up at this point so that you can plan ahead. Of course, we don't know, but as of right now, Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love are officially on the roster for 2024, assuming Love's contract is picked up. At running back, you have Aaron Jones. That's it. Tyler Goodson's on the practice squad, so he's not officially on the 53-man roster, even though his contract could extend past, but you've got Aaron Jones. Yeah, 2023 is A.J. Dillon's last contract year for the Packers. That certainly makes you think a running back is going to be picked this year. I'm telling you, a running back's getting picked this year. Looking at wide receiver, under contract in 2024, you've got Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Samori Toure. And that's it. Yeah, one of the observations that I had too as I was diving into this research is that not as many players as you might think are under contract just one more year away. Only 3 wide receivers, all of them the rookies of this past season. At tight end, no one. Yes, the 2024 Green Bay Packers have exactly 0 players under roster or under contract. Josiah DeGuara is entering the final year of his contract right now. You think tight end may be addressed? Yeah, I do too. All right, so offensive tackle, you've got David Bakhtiari still under contract in 2024. And I will say 2024 is the final year of David Bakhtiari's contract. I know some of you will celebrate with that. Some of you will be worried. Regardless, David Bakhtiari's final year under contract as of right now is 2024. Also under contract for 2024 yet is Rasheed Walker, Zach Tom, and Luke Tenuta. At guard, you've got last year's 3rd-round pick, Sean Ryan. Maybe he'll see the field for at least one snap by 2024. Elton Jenkins and Royce Newman, all of which under contract. Center, Josh Myers, also under contract as well. Switching over to the other side, looking at the defensive side of the ball, you've got your interior defensive lineman, the big boys, Kenny Clark. 2024 happens to be the final year of Kenny Clark's contract. Yes, he has 2 years left on that extension this coming year, 6 months from now, and 2024. But Kenny Clark's time is getting close. Is he going to be one of those rare Packers to earn a 3rd contract in Green Bay? He's still not that old. It's possible, but we'll see. So Kenny Clark. Devontae Wyatt, last year's 1st-round pick, still is under contract 2024, as is TJ Slayton, as is Jonathan Ford, last year's 7th-round pick. At edge, you've got Preston Smith and Kingsley Enagbare. That's it. That's all the edge players that they have under contract in 2024. Now, Rashawn Gary, I would expect, and I've talked about this before, I would think Rashawn Gary is going to receive a contract extension this summer. Why not? He's, 25 years old? He's one of the superstars of your team. I know in box score metrics, he never has completely lit it up with only 22.5 career sacks, but he's one of the best defensive players you have in creating pressure in terms of disruption. He's one of your defensive leaders, from a mentality standpoint. So I would assume that a contract extension is going to happen this offseason for Rashawn Gary. And this coming year, 2023, is his fifth-year option year. So 2024, he's not under contract. I'm telling you, that one I just think is coming. But as of right now, officially on the 2024 cap, Preston Smith, Kingsley, and Enagbare are under contract. Moving on from that, inside linebacker. How about Devondre Campbell still being around in 2024, as will last year's first-round pick, Quay Walker. In addition to that, Isaiah McDuffie still under contract 2024 as well. That tells you inside linebacker, you're pretty well set for at least the next 2 years. I don't think this is going to be a draft emphasis. At cornerback, another position that's pretty well lined up, assuming everyone stays at cornerback. I'll talk about that in just a minute. Jair Alexander, of course, is under contract for 2024, as is Rasul Douglas, as is 2 years ago first-round pick Eric Stokes. Beyond that, Shamar Jean-Charles still under contract as well. Now, the reason why I said the Packers are good to go here is assuming that all of them stay at corner. There is growing momentum with the Packers' need at safety that Rasul Douglas may be switching to safety. The Packers toyed with it this last year in training camp. He has the skill set to do it. It could be a real thing in 2023. In which case, of course, it's going to carry over to 2024. But nonetheless, if they're really looking at Rasul as a standby corner, the other thing I'll say too is, where was the slot corner out of Stokes and Douglas and Jair? It got really sticky, right? They continually tried to put the Rasul in the slot, and we saw it not work again and again and again. It's just not his skill type. His skill type translates better to safety than it does to slot corner. So, given their personnel and their complete lack of safety heading into next year, Darnell Savage being a question, Adrian Amos a free agent, Rudy Ford being a free agent, it's entirely possible we see Rasul Douglas switch next year. In which case, then cornerback kind of becomes a sneaky need, doesn't it? Because now you're only too deep. And that, maybe they re-sign Keyshawn Nixon. I certainly hope they do. But still, corner is one of those that could become a sneaky need real quick, and you can get that info by looking ahead. So you've got at corner, just to repeat it, Jair, Rasul, Stokes, Shamar Jean-Charles. At safety, you've got only one, another seventh-round pick of last year, Tariq Carpenter. Yes, and he's kind of questionable as to whether he's truly an inside linebacker or a safety. I know that when he was first drafted, they talked about moving him to inside linebacker. Then they really played him at safety, which was more so his college position. What he truly is a core special teamer. That's what we've seen so far from him. That's what you can bank on. He's under contract in 2024. Maybe by that time, he'll become an established safety. You want to talk specialists? Long snapper Jack Coco. That's it. No kicker for 2024. No punter for 2024 that's appeared in a game for the Green Bay Packers. So that's it. So there you have it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's approximately 29 players of your 53-man roster that's under contract for 2024. Now, of course, you're going to have, looking ahead, you'll have the 2023 draft soon enough. You'll have any free agent additions. But just looking ahead, the roster for 2024 can help predict the 2023 draft. And so the highlights here are running back. We don't know as if Aaron Jones is going to continue to stay in Green Bay following this year, even after his pay cut. Because again, that 2024 cap number creeps up quite a bit. I think it's $17 million. A.J. Dillon is a free agent after this year. So running back probably going to be addressed. Tight end, you have none. No one under contract in 2024. So you can assume they're going to want at least one rookie contract on the books real soon. Probably going to be a draft pick this year. Or let's look at some other positions. How about edge? Even if you retain Rashawn Gary, you still only have Preston Smith, whose contract is a question mark every year. Kingsley Enagbare, probably a position that's going to be addressed. However, I know a lot of people consider that edge should be a candidate for a first-round pick. I just don't share that enthusiasm for it. I think a day 2 pick is much more reasonable for the edge position this year. And then you've got your secondary. And what they decide to do with the players who are already there could determine whether it's going to be a corner or a safety that's picked this year. Still could be both. We know by looking ahead at the 2024 roster, could become a sneaky need real fast, especially at the cornerback position. So there you have it. Stick around for the next couple minutes as I talk about this piece right up here, the 1966 Danbury Mint Vince Lombardi collectible figure set. Really, really cool piece of memorabilia. So stick around as I dive into a little bit of info for that. And just a final reminder, next week is going to be our division series, so please come on back for next week. If you haven't hit yet, like, share, and subscribe as we approach another subscriber milestone. Thanks so much for spending your time here. I don't say it at the end of this clip, so I'll say it right now. I hope you're having a great day. Hope you have a great weekend. And as always, go Pack Go. Hey, so wanted to spend just a couple minutes talking about a listener question that I received lately about the Lombardi figures. And I believe the ones that he was referencing are the ones that happen to be right here normally in my videos. So what that piece is it is actually a series of Lombardi figures. It's the 1966 Green Bay Packers Danbury Mint. Now, for a lot of collectors who have been collecting a lot of Packer things for a long time, for a lot of them, this is a holy grail type item. I'm not sure how many were ever actually produced, but you can see each figure stands, I would say, ballpark about 6 inches tall, and is individually, insertable into the board here, much like modern bobbleheads that are produced by Foco and things like that. So absolutely amazing piece produced by the Danbury Mint. If you're interested in pricing in today's market, you're realistically looking about $600 plus for this item. Now that does include all the figures. Obviously, it came all as one big unit. I have seen them sometimes go for a little over $1,000 even, but I think $600 is at least an attainable number. Maybe you got to go a little north of that. It used to be $800 was the truly you can get one number. And of course, cost does vary per if you've got the original box that it came in and the original foam and all that kind of stuff, which continues to run up the value. But, I would say for a piece that is also imperfect, you could get one for a little under $600 too. A couple things to watch out for in this piece if you are at all interested. Common issues with it is this base. You can see there it's beautifully labeled, each individual player. But a couple things about this is these will come scratched all the time. I see a lot of these that have scratches running along the bottom. Other things that may be problems is guys maybe missing their helmets. You can tell that their helmets are loose, right? Everything else is tight on there. It's screwed on, but the helmets still can move. And so I've seen some pieces with broken off helmets. And sometimes the sellers don't know that there was supposed to be a helmet ever there in the first place. So be wary of that. Make sure that guys have their helmets. But really, I want to give you a nice close-up here. You can tell just great detail and care went into designing this thing. Really, really cool piece. Other things to look out for is oftentimes, just like with bobbleheads, you may see that hairline crack in an ankle or a foot chip, things like that. So really, really cool piece. If you need any other advice, info about it, just comment below and I'll try to research and find whatever answer it is you need. But thanks for asking the question. Beautiful, beautiful piece. Holy grail for a lot of Packer collectors. They are getting tougher and tougher to find as more of these things find their way into permanent homes like mine. So, any other questions? Let me know. Just hit a comment down below.